Alright, folks, let's talk about duck soup today. This is one I knew I had to talk about eventually. At some point, for as long as I'm doing movie tales, part of me was like, you're eventually gonna have to get to the Marx Brothers, because I don't understand why they're so fun. I mean, I do understand, but I'm just like, why does this work for me so much? This is like a long time removed from the things I like. But they're just so timeless and crazy and dumb and stupid, and the jokes still hold up, and it's so silly and bizarre, and it just influenced so much just stupid comedy after it. My goodness, it's the Marx Brothers. We're talking duck soup today. Maybe the most notable, I say that loosely, maybe one of the most notable in terms of like the modern day idea of what they are. I feel like a lot of people take inspiration from this type of story and understand it good. I don't know how in depth we're going to get in this video because it's the Marx Brothers. I could just sit here and rattle off every single joke they make, but what is that? Where is that going to take us? I don't got all day, and they're smarter than me, they're better than me. I can't just list off their achievements because that's what we'd be doing all day. This is one of those movies where it's like, you got to talk about it eventually. If you are talking about movies and you don't delve into the realm of classic 30s comedy or silent films, I think you're doing something wrong. You have to find the appreciation for the early stuff to really respect and admire what's currently happening. Whether that be stuff in the 70s, the 80s to today. A lot of that comes from this. And these were kind of like the guys to do it, you know? They're right in that era. Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, the Three Stooges. Then you got these brothers. Sometimes there's three of them, sometimes there's four of them, sometimes there's five of them. But there's always a couple of them on screen at any given time. And you have Groucho. He puts weird makeup on his eyebrows and mustache. And then you got Harpo. He's a little silly guy who doesn't talk. Chico, he's kind of the cool, tough one. Sometimes you got Zeppo in here, the kind of just like classically trained actor brother, and then Gummo will show up sometimes, but it doesn't matter. In Duck Soup, it's the first four, which of course it is. And this is just like, what if these idiots got to run a country? It's so stupid, but it's so funny, and it's a movie that holds up so well. And that's what I wonder a lot about this era of both comedy and stylistic choices in terms of filmmaking. Does this hold up to a younger generation? I'm a film fanatic, so yeah, I watch all this stuff, but does the humor or approach taken by the Marx Brothers work for a younger audience that maybe didn't watch reruns of them or watch like the cartoons that were inspired by them? Very curious to see if people actually think this works or not, because to me, it works well. Welcome to the country of Fredonia, where I guess some old guy just died and now they want to find like someone to run the country, and the old lady, Miss Tisdale, who's been paying for like the exploits of this country for a very long time, she's like, if we're going to have somebody new in this office, they got to be a free thinker and do something different than what we've seen before. Somebody like Rufus T. Firefly. And that's when Groucho Marx just shows up and does the Groucho Marx thing. The introduction to Rufus is so funny and dumb. I love it on multiple levels. Here's like this big ceremony for him to show up into the place. We got horns blaring all the time, trumpets playing, everyone's holding up their swords for him to walk through the main entrance. But he's late. He slides down a fire pole, ends up behind everybody waiting for him to come through the front door, stands next to one of the guards like, hey, we waiting for somebody? And they're like, yeah. And he holds out his cigar like it is a sword. And that's just gold. That's just genius comedy fun, and it's really interesting and cool. And I don't want to spend all day just being like, this is the thing he said. This is a great joke he said. We don't got the time. I can just say this. There is no other guy doing this at the time. The speed he's doing it. This is chaos incarnate where everything is happening on screen at one time. So many practical jokes, so many just like jokes of this like physical comedy and just people saying stupid shit. Because as this is going on, you have the, I guess it's like the ambassador for one of the other countries who doesn't like that maybe Rufus is going to be in charge of Fredonia. So he hires Ciccolini and Pinky, which is Chico and Harpo, of course. And they're two investigator detective types that are going to come in and figure out what's going on with Firefly. Their introduction's great too, because it's just stupid guys with stupid outfits. And then it just goes into insane comedy that never slows down. Harpo always has horns on him because that's how he talks. He even talks with them. Like he's on the phone and he talks with horns. It's insane and it's funny and it's great. And then it's just the dumbest content you've ever seen. There's just classic bits with all of these guys. Every time that Firefly wants to get on his bike to get somewhere downtown, he's in the sidecar. It doesn't leave with him attached. Then when he tries to drive the motorbike, he's on the front where you actually like, get to rev it up. It's the sidecar that drives away. That's funny. That's funny. I'm sorry if that's not funny to you. That's what comedy's about. That moment is comedy. They're so talented, and they just go for the bit every time. And what I really like is that, I know Zeppo's not like the one that does all of like the actual work, and he's not like the brother that's always there. He's just, yeah, I'll be the straightforward assistant. I'm not really going to have any comedic bits until like the end, when I just kind of show up and like tower over my brothers for a minute. It's so weird. But I respect it so much because it's so dumb. So what's happening is just, okay, we have to figure out what's going on with Firefly, and he meets both Ciccolini and Pinky, and he's just like, you guys are kind of cool. Like, your vibe is really weird. You guys just, like, harassed the lemonade guy. The hat bit with the lemonade guy is the funniest thing I've seen in my life. It's so perfectly timed because it's just so, they're not even doing anything, essentially. They're just, like, kicking stuff and throwing stuff. Like, it's so simple. He's like, cool, you're going to be my war general. So Chico's the war general now. And you're like, okay, sure. And then it's great. And then it's just like, they're still working for the other guy, so they have to like steal the plans of like how he's like going to run the country and everything. And then there's just, like, it's just bits. It's just bits, and there's so many great bits. One of the best ones is when they're all like dressed up as Groucho. They all just pretend to like mess around with like Teasdale, and you're just like, this woman is being harassed. And then the mirror bit, my God, the mirror bit is so funny because it's so perfectly executed. Like, okay, they're doing a great job at first. No, it's kind of messing up a little bit. I know, I'll trick them. I'll get a hat that we can see doesn't match the hat that the other person grabs, but then they're going to walk through the mirror and it's still going to be like it's normal. And then Chico shows up. He's like, oh, yeah, that was wrong. And before we could prosecute anybody for like their war crimes, war breaks out. And then it just turns into them going to war. And part of this movie is just, there's going to be a couple songs. We love Fredonia, and every time something happens, we're going to sing about Fredonia. And then we do the war song, where everybody sings about war. We dress up like we're Napoleon, and Groucho's going to lead the troops on to just like, okay, we're going to knock them dead. It's so funny and stupid. And then this whole movie just ends with these guys going to this house, and they're just going to fight in this house, and the house is going to crumble around them. And it's just so good. It's just the four brothers and Teasdale, and now the world around them is crumbling, and they're in this house, and it just goes to so many stupid jokes. I love it. When Harpo has to like ring the bell to alert everybody war's coming, he goes into the woman's house, and you think she's going to kick him out, but she's like, oh my God, it's Harpo. And then she tries to get her husband to leave to join the war because Harpo's hiding in the tub, and he just sits on him in the tub. It's so fucking dumb, but it's so funny, and I appreciate every single aspect of that. And just, the ending is so great, where they're just getting ready to fight the troops. It's so much fun. We have to call in the forces, bring everyone down, and it's just like montages of like people rowing boats and elephants charging out of the jungle to come to the aid of the Marx Brothers. That's funny. That's funny. That's a good, funny thing we're doing. Like, it's so hard to talk about this movie because it is bits. If you're somebody who has never seen the Marx Brothers, and maybe you're trying to like break into classic comedies of this era, I think the one you're going to gravitate to the most today would be Groucho. Just because like he is such like a sarcastic-y type of lead. The Ryan Reynolds of his time, if you will. I'm sorry I said that. No, it's just like, that style works perfect, and Harpo, people get it. You know Chaplin. It's just like kind of fun stuff, and it just ends with this the guy that hired Pinky and Ciccolini being literally boarded up in the doorway of the house. They start throwing potatoes at him, and then Teasdale starts singing Fredonia rules. They're like, shut up, and they start throwing potatoes at her. And that's where the movie ends. You're like, this was a great way to spend an evening. Just look at these idiots doing stupid stuff, just having the time of their lives. None of them take this seriously, and you shouldn't take it seriously. Just the physical comedy. The stupid, dumb bits where it's like, you got his record? Here's the record. Throw it up, skeet shoot it, boom. You get a cigar. It's funny. One of the coolest things ever is when Harpo's showing off like the tattoos of himself and this woman and the woman's number and then like his house and like They open up his chest. You see the house that's tattooed on his stomach. And then a dog comes out of it and barks. You're just like, what are we doing? This is so funny. These guys are great. They're so funny. And I could have probably talked about a number of Marx Brothers movies, but this one, I think it's just the easiest one to get into. Maybe because it's the most well-known now. But you're just like, these guys are so funny and they're silly. And they run a country. They go to war. They win. Barely, and they're just like, okay, we did it. We solved the crisis. It's funny. And everyone's got their favorite. Groucho is just who I am as a person, and I appreciate that the entire time. He's just a goofball, and they're all goofballs. And I love these goofballs. They're so stupid and fun. But Duck Soup, that's the name. It's such a good movie. It's a good movie, and I think everyone should watch it. It's one of those ones that I swear to you, you're not going to be able to catch up with it. It's going too fast. So folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Comedic Tales. Now, thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Hail Fredonia. Good luck.